Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Because the time is now 6:30, I think we'll get underway. We've still got a few people out in the restaurant who'll come in and join us as they finish their dinner. But we've got some really interesting presentations to provide tonight, so I'm sure you'll much rather listen to them than to me. So we've got both Darius Oliver, course architect, is going to speak first, and then we've got Jeff London from GBAS, who will look at the feasibility study that he's carried out for us over the last few months. So if I could welcome Darius up to the stage to start kick us off for tonight.
Thanks, Nigel and the club and everyone for being here. I'll try and make sure that I'm on the screen this time so that everybody later on can actually see me. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, a bit closer. I'm going to go over old ground from last time. I know that some of you were here a few months ago when we had a member presentation and some weren't. So what I'm going to do is really talk about the evolution of the layout plan, the philosophy behind them, and then the next steps. So when I was here previously, what we had is a whole bunch of great work that Andy and Colette had done on the feasibility of some sort of golf, more than the original 9 holes at the Graham Marsh course on that land over there. And there were all sorts of constraints with flood impacts offside, flood storage, fill, cut to fill balance, how you might build it. And they came up with a concept that passed the tick. It got the tick of approval from Stantec, the flood engineers. So when I was here last time, with some confidence, we built. But if we were forced to, it was, okay, worst case scenario, we could live with this. And we got approval from the flood engineers that this isn't going to increase offside impacts in flood events. So the next step was to go and put some meat on the bones. Really, it started with, if you could have anything you wanted, not anything you wanted, but within reason, if you could build these greens with shape, if you could lift the fairway so it was playable more often, if you could make the holes more exciting and more interesting, what would you do? And so that was the next step. Where we're at the moment is sort of a mini detailed design. It's not the full detailed design, because some of the shapes are quite rough, but we've added to areas, we've finalised or we've confirmed some of the areas that we wanted to elevate, and the extent of them, the size of them, and run them through the flood model again. And it's taken a few, I'd say 4 or 5 little tweaks to get that ticked off. So now the next step is to go through the plan and refine it further, but confident that what we wanted to do, like what the ideal case scenario is, we're not going to be too far off that. So I know there were some questions last time about how playable the course would be and how interesting the greens can be because they were drawn flat. So now there's a little bit of shape to them, which I'll go through in a sec. We're pretty confident that this could be not just something like the mini golf that you've added, but actually something that could be quite high quality, which I think that's what excites me about it. There is a lot of potential here, as I talked about last time, for existing members, for new members, and then just for the public as well. That the members play as well from time to time. So those who are familiar with the first, those who are familiar with the previous version will notice that the routing is essentially the same. Some of the water bodies have changed slightly, the depths have changed, the extent of them has changed. But the primary change from last time to now is to do with the internal contours. And the best way to show that, for me, to just go course by course and actually talk to some of the images and some of the holes and what you might expect. So this is, I can't do that, I'm sorry. This is the executive course. You might need your magnifying glasses, and if needed, I can reverse it later on and show you the upside down version. But we start first tee zone, par 3, executive course with a putting green in between. We start with a flattish par 4. I've used before, sort of shamelessly modelled it on the principle, I guess, of 18 at St Andrews, which has got the Valley of Sin in front of the green. Very simple hole in the fact that if you hit it close to the road, in our case, close to the lake, you get a much easier shot, but no bunkers. It's just open your shoulders if you dare and have a crack at the green, or play conservatively and try and take it forward. The second hole is a par 3 straight at Mount Coolum, which I think is going to be quite lovely. Now, there are a few changes from this plan to today, actually, that Stantec have made, including some of the tee elevations, just to pass the flood model. So some of the holes will have slightly different shapes, slightly different tees, but that second hole is designed and will be designed to line straight up at Mount Coolum. Doesn't really need bunkers either. There may be a bunker at some point, but it doesn't really need them.
Darius, have you got a pointer you could use?
Is that a point of the crack?
Yeah. Thanks. So we know where we are.
Right.
Thanks, mate.
Okay, sorry, it is hard to see. So this is the first hole, obviously, and then the second is this little par 3 here. And it plays to the area that was set aside and is still earmarked for the 19th hole. To the right of it, next to the bridge that the maintenance guys use, is a nice little pocket between their track and the lake, which is where you'll tee off from the third hole if you're game enough. It's not a super long hole, but it can be quite a carry from there to the green. So it's maybe a 280-metre drivable par 4 to some in some conditions. Shorter hitters will play it from here or here. And again, like the first in reverse, it'll be much easier on your second shot. Again, we've got a really nice backdrop. I mean, the tee shot here kind of plays with Mount Coolum in the backdrop, and I should have checked the name, but the second one plays towards that.
Mount Hindley.
Mount Hindley, so yeah, that could be quite a spectacular little hole, and I think a lot of good golfers in southerly winds will be tempted to have a crack at that. Then we come back down towards that property that you've probably all seen down here. So this hole will play through wetland, depending on cut to fill calculations. Comes into an area that needs to be elevated for flood movement to make sure the water doesn't impact off the property, which in this case I think is very beneficial. You've got a lot of holes here, like 14, 15, 18, for example, where you're hitting maybe a metre up on even longer, I think, even higher on 18. It'll be sort of similar to that, but a much shorter hole. I think it's 330 metres from the very back. So it's just a mid-length par 4 with an elevated second shot. The next hole comes down towards David Low Way and is very much reachable for good golfers and long hitters. This hole's got the water on the right. This one's primarily is on the left. Bunker in the middle, most likely. So the green designs are conceptually sort of fixed, but subject to revision. And if the revision means we lose bunkers, we lose bunkers. But that is one hole that will probably have a bunker in the middle, in front of the green. The next is a par 3 across a little creek with a little bunker in the front and quite a skinny green and a longer carry if you're hitting to a right pin than the middle of the green. So yeah, that bridge is not Hogan or Nelson, maybe it's Meldrum. Something like that. It's not going to be, I don't want to pretend for 1 second that it is going to be like 12 at Augusta, but it is going to be angled that way. I know the wind does come across you, and there has to be trees behind it to create some sort of, not quite as authentically a tribute as the Island Green is to the Sawgrass 17th, but it will be from that kind of character. The 7th hole is a very short par 4 back along with a creek that is again needed for flood. This might sound sadistic that you would put that in there, but it is needed for the movement of water across the property, and it's actually quite cool because if you decide to take it on and you want a less carry, you've got to take it on the left-hand side. So that hole, just play it 4-iron wedge every day and you've got no problems. But, maybe temptation it might lead some people to take on a bit too much there. But that, I think that's 240 from the very back. So most people are going to play that as a 220 metre short par four. Then we come from, there's a little sand island, you'll see it if you look across there at the moment on the other side of the maintenance bridge there. From that sand bump back across the water to a green that's sort of nestled up against the water with the water on the left. So try to balance as much as possible the left and right. Make the holes in the par threes in particular as different directions, subject to different winds, and vary as much as we possibly can. So that one will have a much more severe slope right to left than 2 and 6, which are going to be much flatter because they're much smaller targets to hit. So that's your chance to hit shot off the high side and feed it to a back in, for example. Then we come back to near the car park area here as a par 5 from here, or potentially if you don't want to take on a carry that the shortest carry is about 115 metres, straight line is probably 140 metres. So a lot of golfers will choose to tee off from here and play a much straighter hole. But yeah, it's a 2-shot, I think, risk reward that has enough movement in it to be dry and playable and fun. What it doesn't have is it doesn't have the finished green concept yet. It's got elevations on it, so we know we can build something interesting there. It's just that we weren't really sure where the car park expansion and the bridge back, where all that was going to go. So we do now know. So there'll be something, I think there'll be a bunker on that green as well. But as you can see, there's probably, 6 bunkers on that course in total, maybe 9 if we need to add a few in a few spots. So the idea, as I said last time, really the aim of this golf course is, I think of it as an entry-exit golf course that I remember my grandmother played until she was 90. And really, at the end of her golfing days, she should have been playing a course like this. And when I started playing with her when I was a young boy, I should have been playing with her on a course like this rather than a big, long, difficult golf course. And that isn't to dismiss the appeal that it will have for golfers in the middle. The Cups course at the Dunes is a good example. There's a lot of people in the middle age brackets and experienced at golf that just go down there for a laugh. They do huge numbers, 40, 50,000 rounds. It's great fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously. Drivable par four, one short par 5, and it's just all about fun. So this isn't about you've got to hit over a bunker or over a creek in front of the green and it's a hard shot and I'm forcing you to hit a hard shot. These holes are deliberately set up so that you can choose to hit shots second or vice versa, or generally hit 2 straightforward shots if that's what you want to do. So I don't think it's going to be the most taxing golf course. I do hope that young golfers introduced to the club who you maybe don't want club will maybe find that too intimidating. You know, the older, more experienced golfers who find that course long and tough find this interesting enough that they not only want to play it, they want to play it twice and they want to do 2 loops at 9 or 1 loop at 9. Just create some kind of regular event on the Cups, which is what all the great shorter courses do. They have separate competitions. So one thing I haven't spoken to the club about, but is in the back of my mind, is potentially adding different angle tees on some holes. We haven't really gone down that path, but at the Dunes during COVID, Duncan Andrews and I'll see holes. You can play a different would interest build teams and it meant grow the ways. Dollar, like the passion profit balance or profit ratio, whatever you want to say, that is as profitable a golf business as there exists. This is obviously very different. And I think my gut tells me that you're going to get a lot more members playing here than the par 3 course. The Cups course is really, it's all pay to play. There is a small Cups membership, but it's pretty much 70 or 80% of it is pay to play. So it's a great business model. You can play it. It's the only place in Melbourne that I know of that you can play with your dogs, you can play with your work boots. Like it's very casual compared to the course next door, and it's got a very loyal following. So, yeah, when it comes to golf, bigger isn't always better, and I think we can build 9 really. There's not a hole there that I don't think can be really interesting and really good. So, some obviously stand out more than others, but that's the aim, is to build really interesting, different holes. So that's the executive course. The other, I've gone backwards. Go back. There is right. Okay, so it's just so the other piece of the expansion project puzzle is the par 3 course, which, as I said last time, I do hope has appeal for regular golfers, whether it's once a month, once a season, whatever it is. Maybe it's just when your wedge game is struggling, you might want to go and have a hit out there. But generally speaking, it is going to appeal to golf groups, newcomers, hopefully the pay-for-play market as well. And the standout feature, which I'm trying to be as sensitive as possible to the existing course and the existing 18th hole, it really revolves around this central lake, and not just the obvious island green, the sawgrass sort of tribute, if you like, but hitting off an elevated lake bank down to a green that leans right to left, and then hitting up from 9 to a green that similarly leans right to left. And those 2 holes will obviously play in different directions, so the wind's going to be different. They will be different. The first hole will be much easier to dribble your ball onto the green than the 9th. Both of them will be easy to avoid water if you bail out to the right. One of them will be a more tricky second shot. But this is the real focal point of the golf course. So we've got an area here that may well be staging. You might have events marquees, or you might use it for tees. That whole thing could end up being tees. With the Stantec flood modelling, we've had to drop this area in through here. So we're still working on that at the moment, whether or not that is a viable continuous tee from right back here all the way almost onto the green. But if not, there'll be a section there that's lower that you just don't use during wet periods, and may well have a second synthetic tee. We don't know, but there is enough tee pad on this hole already without it. It's just it would be ideal for beginners to be able to play shots from somewhere around there, so it's less intimidating. These marks here are just indicative 4 by 2 metre synthetic tee pad. So if the course in winter, if there's recovery, if you get smashed and you get a lot of business and the place is looking a little bit tardy, you can use mats. You can use mats for events, and you can use mats for a sort of period of time. So we put them on each hole. They're not necessarily fixed yet, but they're roughly where we would like them to be. So once you stand on the first tee and you see those 3 holes, the course then unfolds between that side, that lake side, and all the way down towards where the 19th is. So near your 17th green, 18th track, that area. And it basically crisscrosses. So the second hole plays downhill towards the lake on 18. The third and the fourth play along the lake and then up beside the 18th tee. The fifth comes back along. This is that berm that we've got there for the flood, to deviate flood water away from neighbouring properties. That's where the 5th hole, the 6th tee, 7th green, all this whole area is connected to that requirement that the council placed on the club when they built the first golf course. So 5 will be a very short but delicate, don't go left, don't go right kind of hole. It won't be watery, but it won't be easy to get up and down from either side. 6, again, water on the right. Maybe that might be an area where if we need to reduce our putt, that we don't end up with a pond. But either way, that will be a shortish hole with an angled green. 7 comes back up to the berm at 2.6, 2.8 and above, with a short right miss that will feed downhill, and then we come and we play 8. So 8, as I mentioned last time, like it is a great fun experience playing sawgrass, and I was lucky enough to play there and play really well till I stood on the 17th tee. And there is just something about its position. If it was the 3rd hole, it just wouldn't have the same impact. But on the 17th, everything can go wrong, and yet everything can go right. And so it's not the sort of hole I would normally build or normally recommend or or sort of sing its praises, but I just think for this project and for this club, and given where we're at, the fact that we need flood storage, we need bodies of water, it made sense. And I'm fixated. You would drop it here, it's simpler way that Sawgrass. If the drop zone move on, it would not be simpler to get you all on the green. But hopefully everyone's got that shot or that doubt now. How it's going to go. So there are obviously a number of ways to construct that at the moment. I think the club's budget and where we're thinking is it will be a timber bulkhead just like it's Sawgrass. And I think at the best ones, you could do the stones or the rock work that you've got here, but it would be a little bit harsh. I think the softer timber look, I think it just looks really fantastic if we do it well. So that will be one of the features, but then I think people will really love knowing, coming back towards the clubhouse, the water on your left, hit it out to the right, feed it in, the big slope right to left. That's probably as good a chance as any hole on the course to have a hole in one. Deliberately so, because it's right there and obviously a grandstand finish, but that's the sort of hole that if you get the right slope, the right shape, the ball will run down towards the hole. So perhaps the first as well, they might both be fairly kind of collecting into certain area type greens. But yeah, hopefully hit and giggle, a lot of fun. Obviously, mostly at visitors, not mostly, but maybe primarily from a business perspective, it's the visitor course of the two. But certainly, I want some of the holes are too short for the big course, but the other holes I want you to feel like they're as good as the par threes on the current course. And I think that is definitely possible with 1 and 9, and probably a couple of the other holes like 3 and 4. Some of the ones that are a little bit longer, but they should be just as fun to you as any of the 4 par threes on the big course. So that's basically it in a nutshell. The next step after tonight, and after Memento, and if we were to move forward, would be to develop that into a much more polished, detailed plan. That's when all the green shapes of the fairway shapes are there. There's elevation on them. We've jacked them up so that part of the fairway is longer. But there isn't much shaping. The shaping's not quite there yet, but it'll be there in a bit. So, if we don't feel like there are areas where we're going to compromise, really the only compromise might be the tees that are below the ideal 2.2 flood level. But there'll be few and far between. There'll only be a handful of little pockets, and there'll be enough tee and synthetic tees that you should be able to play year round. So with that, has anyone got any questions about either course or in general? No? Okay.
If you go on that executive course, and I guess the 9th is the case as well. The safety, you said on that par 3, and you can put in some trees in behind, yes. Will they be, when we were first here, an engineer said to me, oh no, we can't put tall trees because the birds fly through the plains. I said, well, look across the 2 waters and you can see trees at a certain height. So it's more about style of course rather than birds going in the middle. Well, mature trees, the safety aspect, when you talk about good golfers going for the green in 1 and opening their shoulders and knowing we're going to get a lot of visitors who'll definitely try it on, safety is a bit of an issue. So we're having mature trees behind there, and also you don't want to wreck the aesthetic on the par 3 on the 9th because you'll have a lot of spectators looking at that last hole. Will there be protection there as well? Because I noticed the blue umbrellas are quite close to the so what's happening there, and are they mature trees that are going to be costed into this?
Well, the mature there's another thing here. they're bunkers on the 9th, and a metre and a half mound. And there's a mound behind this green. And I'm just thinking there, like, you plant between 8 and 10 trees at the row. But that zone in there, if you pull it on 9, I think it's too. Trees and a path as well.
Those things take 9 years
Yeah.
to grow, so they're sort of just saying, these skirts are again and they're
Well-
very, very low, or is your plan to put them in slightly more mature?
I mean, to be honest, we haven't gone through that detail yet. So it depends, but there is a very good chance that, and this is something for Nigel to talk about, but there's a very good chance we bulk earthworks, bulk shape the whole thing, but finish the par 3 course, in which case those trees might be planted 4 or 5 years before the executive course is built. That all depends on the club. And if that's not the case, then yeah, I mean, there's a handful of trees in that precinct. It's not like that right-hand side of 18. What wouldn't be as large an area as that? So it might be a case that you plant a few more mature trees. But yeah, safety is definitely an issue. Like it's a primary focus because shorter holes, there are going to be, whether we like or not, there's going to be worse golfers playing that than there. And generally they don't hit the ball long ways off track, but they do hit it off track. Yeah, and they do hit it off track, and that's the par 3 course is very tight. So there are a couple of areas. There's one area in particular on the par 3 course, actually up near 18th tee, that we've added a pond there to keep it away from 18th tee. But it would be that one option is to move that 4th green on the par 3 course closer to your current 18th tee to give you more room on 5, more room on 6. They're things that we're going to explore, but they're solely based on safety. If safety wasn't an issue, you would just leave it. So we are going to think about it. Yep, at the back.
On to the right of the executive course, there's that darky green brown area that has nothing on it. What is that? Portion of land, and why wasn't that used? So just to the right of the whole course.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to the right of that, all that area there.
No, that's
What's all that?
Yeah, there's two houses in that bottom right hand
Oh,
corner.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have another plan that does have the aerial on it that shows your boundary, but and the difference between the darker green and the blue, that's a wetland. So just like the areas that you've got on your course, that they're only, I think, just over half a metre deep above sea level, and they feel and they have some storage capacity for flood events. These ones are, the blue ones are properly excavated lakes, but lakes are varying depth because we don't want too much fill. So that this Stantec have got a lot of work to do on making sure that the cut to fill is balanced and that all that works. So, yes.
In the event of heavy rain or low level flooding, where does the water just off the course?
That's a really a question for engineers, because all of the where I started with was requirements that included a creek or a swide through here, a berm there, and then a big long berm that comes already through the property. That's to prevent water from impacting on these properties, and also David Low Way, and also some of them up here. In one of our versions, there was an impact up there. So the engineers have got a flood model, and every time we make a change, they run it through the model again.
Yeah.
And it tells them, it's now our is now contained inside, so there's no sign. I couldn't tell you. I don't.
It's just that I think we already have a major problem with the drainage off the site for young David Low Way to the river, and the water is just not getting away even now. I mean, it's only just gone down a small amount over the last 3 months, and this is just going to all presumably go into that same catchment area. It's the same water.
Yeah, it's the same water that it's the same water that the Department of Council to catch more water. We haven't. All we've done is we've monitored. we made sure that the impacts offsite are contained. We haven't done it all through the cut to fill balance and also the flood storage. So the flood storage will be a council requirement that Stantec need to resolve.
So it's all that. Just on that council situation, I think you're probably all aware that I've been working with council to try and resolve those situations. One first being that they put the tidal floodgates back on. The council have now agreed to do that. And I had a report today that have been down there that they're actually they were putting them back on today. So that's step one, and that's a big benefit to us because that stops the very high tides, sailing up into our irrigation lake. So that's a little better. The second part of the puzzle is exactly what Max was talking about, and that was from the floodgates to Maroochy River, having that drain cleared out so the water can flow easily out to the river at low tide. So we're still working with council on that one, and at least we're one step of the way there. And then we hope to get that second part done. And then, of course, for them to clear all these drains out low to increase our flood storage back to its capacity. To London to provide information on his report.
Thanks, Nigel, and thanks everyone for coming. It's always nice to come back to Maroochy. Sounds like Darius got the best job. He gets to do all the design work. I'll be working out whether it all works. Yeah, money. And market and all those fun things. So it's always nice to work with a passionate designer named Darius. I can't think we're still young, but I feel like I've known Darius for 20 years, and look, you are really in good hands in terms of if the project does happen. You know, the care factor that Darius shows is so if he says it, it's because he means it, and he won't let you down in terms of the promises he makes for you to you. So back in the day, the past work with Maroochy, I feel like I've known you for a long time. 2013, back in Horton Park, I worked on the business plan that worked out how we could get here and what the club would look like. And then in 2016, we almost did the same project that we've just done because the board of the day was keen to say, well, could we do that then? And somewhat proudly, it was a hard no for me, don't, because things just didn't line up. So I'm just not a consultant for hire that's going to tell the board what they want to hear. I'm happy to say no if it looks like no. And I will tell you the honest truth. I won't make up an answer just because that might be what the board wants to hear. I'm working with a client up in Darwin and who engaged me to do some work. And I said, don't do it. Now they're still doing it, but I said, don't. So if it's on them, if it's successful, great. If it's not successful, well then I didn't create a way to make it work. So know that I take this responsibility really seriously because it's a big deal. It's a big deal for the club. It's a big deal for the Sunshine, and I'm keen for this to be a flying success, not just a success. If it's not a flying success, then I'd want to look at why. But I'm pleased to be able to come back and look at it all again, and it's remarkable. 2016 versus 2024. It's remarkable how different the world is and how different this club is in the trends at the time. So essentially, the question that I asked myself to answer is that it's all about demand. We know that there'll be a cost to deliver it. We know there's a capital cost, but we know there's going to be a day-to-day maintenance cost. So is there demand at a price that will cover the extra cost the club will have to operate? That's practically the question. Now, there's various iterations. There's possibly staging to happen. One might come first, one might come second. That order might swap. There's car park work to do. There's a bit of clubhouse work to do. There's a lot to happen. But what I've done is I've looked at it on completion. So today's numbers, what it would look like today if you were to do it and it's suddenly open, all finished tomorrow. So there's no timing of expenses through it. It's like just not done and done. What does it look like? Because there's too many iterations in the middle of it all that would represent the journey of the development. So I want to say, well, what does it look like when it's all finished, and how different is that to what you enjoy today? So in terms of the demand side, there's those 5 key sources. I want to talk about demand, its numbers and its price. Price is a piece of the pie. The existing membership base here is full. There's now 400 on the wait list, 350 on the wait list. You're full. You know you're full. You feel you're full because the course is busy every single day of the week. So you are at absolute capacity. So you are in itself a source of demand, which I like because it eases some of the pressure off this course onto the other courses, frees up the experience. We know in the member survey we did earlier this year that peak time pressure and pace of play and the ability to bring guests are all pain points for the membership. So being so full, we can spread you out a bit more and improve the experience on the main course. There's also the waitlist membership, as Nigel said, 350 people on the waitlist at the moment. We surveyed them last December to understand their interest in the new courses as well. So I'll share with you some of that. There's the public golf that's happening in the market at the moment, obviously, is a key source of demand. The public golf that you are receiving, not just what's in the market, but the rounds being played here. And then extra could come out of the market. And I guess the last one I didn't put up there was future projected population growth. Know that every house you guys own is going to be worth way more than this. The population growth coming here in this market is nearly 50% higher on a per annum basis state. So, like it or not, this whole region is going to accommodate more and more people. So we've got future population growth. We know that this demand is subject to the population base they're fed by. So that would be the 6th bullet point. And then there's other revenues that might come from the club. So I look at it as an on completion basis, and what's the club's position overall. And when I say green fees, better pricing, some people's really quite cheap. Obviously, from a maintenance perspective to deliver the new courses. Darius has done a great job of explaining what the new courses are going to be. This gives us context for how we look at what the site could develop, what's its positioning. In total terms, is it 3 stars and 4 stars and 5 star? Where am I positioning it in my mind? So Darius has done a great job of not only explaining it all to you today, but giving us some great words to understand what it looks like. We can't do a feasibility on a product we don't understand, right? So does the design give us context, but also the benefits and there's features of some of the golf courses. Globally, there's no one more travel than Darius in terms of the course. He's seen his encyclopedic knowledge of most of them, and I'm excited for the par 3 on the par 3 course as well in terms of that Sawgrass experience. I haven't played Sawgrass, but this might be the only chance I get to experience what it's like. But you know, a great summary. So a really good understanding from our perspective in terms of what the vision looks like in terms of words. Know that I guess the first headline number is what's happening in the market generally for golf course membership in the Sunshine Coast, and you know the growth has been quite significant, particularly post-COVID. The Sunshine Coast is a large market. The Sunshine Coast Golf District is a large market. I think it does go up to Harvey Bay, which is where I've come from today. It's seemingly a long way away, but it's still the same district, and it goes south almost just north of Bribie Island. So for 35 clubs in the market, 4% growth per annum across the whole market since 2018. And as you can see here, what I call this immediate market and the local market, the immediate market of those clubs within 35 Ks, 10%, 55% of the market in terms of membership numbers. But the growth has been quite consistent no matter where you are. It's not just the better clubs, it's everybody's benefiting from more demand into golf clubs. And as you can see, comparing that to regional Queensland, no growth. No growth in metropolitan Queensland, no growth in regional Queensland. The growth that's coming in Queensland golf over this time has all come from the Sunshine Coast market. So the market generally is really strong, which is the first, which is the first tick. It's so strong now, and I'll get to this a little bit later. But of the busiest three clubs, there's the combined wait list to join is over 1,000 people. So the wait list of three clubs could actually become one club in itself. So population demand, you're as full as you can be. The only way you get in here is if people are leaving. And if they're living here for the rest of their lives, then they're only leaving if they can't play anymore, or if they haven't survived something. So a really full market, but more people coming here. Into the future, as said, 1,000 people waiting to get into clubs. So the way this survey, we surveyed them in December last year. At the current price point, that's for $370,000 in future entrance fee income. We asked them, were the proposed new courses, were they a driver for their application? Like, was that part of the interest of joining Maroochy? They're not joining for history, they're joining for what's coming, right? So more than half reported that they were at least of high importance as one of the motivating factors to want to be on the wait list. And then we asked them this question: to assist the study, if you're still on the wait list when the course is opened, would you be in a category that initially only gave you access to these courses? And the average across both courses, 49% were of the waitlist were interested in that type of membership, something like that. And I think the splits on that were like 44, 57. And as Darius has pointed out, more interest with executive than the par three from future golf club members, but slightly higher interest by the female members on the waitlist, female people on the waitlist, and significantly greater by younger people on the waitlist who don't necessarily have time to do traditional eight-hole competition golf, right? So from that alone, we've got a membership base, call it 120 new members. If we wanted to have a membership of a pure course, so again, look at the PL stuff that's going to occur. And then we asked you all members, if the courses were built, what would your frequency be? I'm keen to take the pressure off this golf course. I'm keen for the pressure on tee times to be a bit less time sensitive, less like got to get on the tee sheet, otherwise the nobody's out. It'd be great for some days to move out to an 8-minute interval, just take the pressure out of pace of play, make it all a bit more comfortable for you all. And the members who responded to the survey all suggested that there was some interest in playing So you can't play there and there. So if you're interested in playing there, it means it takes demand off here, which improves the experience for those who are playing here. So it's spreading demand across all the facility. And as I say, that deals with this course capacity challenge. Your teaching indicates already that 4 days across the week are at 100% occupancy. So you can't get any more golf onto the golf course. 4 days across at 100% and another day at 90. The best days to play here Monday and Tuesday when there's a bit more space. Other than that, you are a really busy golf course for the rest of the week. So that capacity, I'm sure, is something you'd all like to see solved a little bit to give you the chance to not be as critical time sensitive to make a tea time booking, and for pace of play to be better and be able to bring guests perhaps when you wanted to, as opposed to I can't bring a guest because there's never a tea time available to bring a guest. The survey results. Again, we asked you to help us understand your thinking. Do you have too many visitors or not? Is there too much public play? What kind of balance do you want? 40% of you said too many visitors, so you're kind of wanting, move them away, get them off our golf course. Right? I get it. There's,
As long as they leave their money.
pay, but don't
Pay but don't play.
don't disrupt me. And those that joined in the last 5 years, 2/3 have said too many. Okay, so this goes to the heart of the 3 course access realities you have, and the 3 of the lowest scoring areas on the golf operations part of the survey. Your 3 biggest complaints were weekend tea time availability, ability to bring golf, yes, and pace of play. So my view is because I'm getting this point now. I think 40% of public demand is already 9-hole golf. So they're only playing 9. They've got nowhere else to play 9 holes because it's this only. So my view is we can shift some of that 9-hole visitor golf off to at least the executive course. Again, frees up the space for you. We still get the good green fee piece, but then we solve one of the member complaints, which is, hey, we got too many visitors. The public ground market across the Sunshine Coast is growing really nicely. Data from 6 clubs for the last 3 years. Just under 170,000 rounds of public golf played across the 6 clubs in the last 3 years, growing by an average of 12%. So it's golf on, if Golf Australia is curious of why is the Sunshine Coast such a strong market. There's so many things lining up for this market right now, and public golf. So public golf is certainly one of the strengths, and you are attracting quite a decent number already. So you are a key party to this growth, but know that this growth is also coming through other clubs as well. There's other pieces of the pie here though that we don't really tap into yet. The point I made earlier about just under 40% of rounds being 9-hole rounds from visitors, but we're all 50,000 plus people using mini golf. We've got 30,000 people using the driving range. We don't really even talk to them about coming back and playing again. We don't even talk to them about saying, hey, do you want to, there's a par 3 course and there's an executive course. They're an on-tap market to actually tap into for repeat visits to the golf club, not necessarily possibly for mini golf, but also, well, there's other amenity we have to enjoy. This I see is 53,000 people we've got to talk to about either a par 3 round or an executive course round. So it's not like and it's not like we need to go and tell people who we don't know what we've got to sell them. We've got a lot of people here already coming to this property that we can talk directly to about the new amenity available at the golf club. Speaking to Sean in the golf shop, the club also receives what we call turnaway demand, i.e. the phone call comes through, can I book a tea time? No, sorry, we're full. Sean's average is 25 phone calls a day that he can't accommodate onto the golf course at the moment when they want to play. And that is on top of the club already having a reputation as being busy. Don't even bother calling them because they're so busy. So that turnaway demand can quickly add up. If we could accommodate that demand, the phone calls are happening already. We just have got nowhere to put them or nowhere to capture them. Another smaller demand source, but ideally, anyone that calls would love to be able to accommodate them here at the golf club. And then the point I started out with regarding future population growth, it's 1.8% projected at 1.4 for the state, so a significantly higher growth rate coming here over the next 20 years. We're going to add nearly 200,000 people to the Sunshine Coast in the next 20 years. So we see that as a long-term future demand source. And to my knowledge, it's very to be built over this time as well. There's some practice amenities being built, but certainly no new standalone golf course. So that future demand gives us confidence that there is a long-term demand pool for. So then looking at the assumptions to drive our model behind it, I just wanted to give you some of the key assumptions. And look, you can change 100 assumptions 100 different ways. So we try and keep it fairly simple. Current pricing for subscription fees. So we've used the 24-25 budget and the pricing you're already paying as the starting point for membership. We haven't done anything to the member mix. We've spread the green fee demand across both courses. I looked at my numbers when Darius was speaking, and I think our forecast shows 39,000 rounds across both of the courses. So to say, call it 20,000 average each. No real changes to driving range or mini golf in terms of business uplift. The food and beverage, we're forecasting just a small profit base on whatever revenue you achieve. There is some possible clubhouse expansion to happen, possibly in the middle of the project, subject to the decisions you all make. We didn't try and improve anything there other than maintain the outcome that you're achieving. But I guess the main point to make on this page is course costs. We haven't tried to game an outcome by applying a lower cost base to the 40 hectares or 20 hectares? 30 hectares. We haven't, sorry, it is 30 because it was in my model. We haven't reduced the cost over there to make it look better. So right now, last year budget was just under $1.3 million spent on the golf course, and that excludes depreciation costs, which works out to be an average of just over $20,000 per hectare. So, and per hectare for 60 hectares. We know that if the club added 30 hectares, they wouldn't spend the same dollar amount on another 30. It's not every hectare costs the same amount as the previous hectare. You do get some efficiencies. But I haven't applied any efficiency at all. So let's take the worst case that you spend exactly the same dollar amount per hectare on the two new courses that you currently spend on the main course. Now we know there'll be efficiencies because there'll be less grass to cut. Some of them have artificial tee beds as well. we that full cost and applied it into our model. So adding all that together, our model indicates on a like-for-like basis, if they were finished today on all those assumptions, the uplift in profitability for the golf club would be $900,000 per year. And if we put that on a cost, we've got a payback of just under 8 years at an ROI of just over 10%. Because everything lines up, every indicator is positive. So we haven't gained it by growing a price where there's no evidence of price growth. We haven't gained it by reducing a cost base just to make it look better. But we tried to be as real as possible to reflect, well, how does it all shake out at the bottom? So unlike our conclusion in 2016, which was a hard, you're mad and crazy. We're really comfortable that there's so many positive trends in the market that will assist this delivery of these assets, not only in the market, but also in the club itself. The club knows a lot more about itself. It knows a lot more how it works. It's very efficient. Its delivery, its 23, 24 outcomes are really strong. All this is building your balances, your cash balance to help you do all this. As I say, strong levels of demand, not only now, but also on the wait list as well. So people want to be part of what you're already part of. But the reality is we can only be so full. We are literally bursting at the seams. There's, I'm sure there's days when the car park's chockers, you come in from golf and you can't get a table at the restaurant, sit down. You're as busy as you can be. And the reality is your satisfaction matters. We want you to love this place and be satisfied by what the club delivers you, not feel like you're being squeezed and this club's being flogged to death and without member satisfaction piece. The member satisfaction piece is really important. Particularly as it relates to golf, because that's why you joined, right? We want to be able to deliver you an outcome that heightens your satisfaction. The heightened satisfaction, we have to make the ability to access golf a bit easier, take the pressure out of it. It'll all be more enjoyable. So, in summary, I think I've said this a couple of times now, is that we relieve the pressure. We can benefit from public demand and use that to shift to the 9-hole courses, relieving the pressure on this course. And I think overall, not only does it enhance member satisfaction, it enhances the value you feel you get from the golf club because it'll be an even better, more solid experience. So again, unlike 2016 when we said don't, our conclusion now is there's probably been no better time. The conditions have never been any more favourable than they are now for you to consider. What will ultimately be asked of you at a vote in future weeks, I suspect, as this model comes to, as this process comes to conclusion. Now, I'm just going to talk about some budget estimates, and then I'll take some questions, perhaps.
Just stole my thunder there. You can't feel all the information. But essentially, I have spoken to you about before, not coming to the members until we really knew the numbers. And so I've been able to obtain some budget estimates through a golf course consultant who actually built golf courses. So it's just as if you were sitting down doing a bill of quantities. We've sat down and gone through all of the costs if we were to build each course individually. So to build the two together isn't an addition of those two costs together, because when we build either of the courses, if we do them separately, we feel that the council is going to require us to do the bulk earthworks for both, because the flood modelling doesn't work unless you do the bulk earthworks for both courses. That number is about $2.2 million. So if you do the two courses together, you can take 2.2 straight off the addition of those numbers, and you can also take off about $250,000 in regards to setup costs that a company would have if they were coming back on a second time. And there are also some bridges which are double costed into both of those, because if you build the Par 3 course but not finish off the executive course, you still need some bridges to be able to maintain those island areas and so forth. So that there are some double costs in there. But we're not saying to do the two courses together. We've always said this is most probably a 3-stage process. Stage 1 is to build one of the courses. The car park is a must. Under the DA that we had when we first built here, the car, if we built any further holes out on that 30 hectares, we had to extend the car park. So that's a must. And we've got 108 spaces in that extension. The other must is that to have the additional staff to help build the golf course, which we can keep the fees down lower than what those costs are that you see there. But to have the additional staff, we do actually need to extend the maintenance facility. So we need to extend the lunchrooms, the locker rooms, and so therefore we eat into some of the storage areas. So we essentially just need to build another small storage shed, which is a 12 by 20 metre shed, and another pad which sits out off the side of it. So they're the costs that are required. So as you see there, for the full course, the full cost to build the executive course with the car park and so forth is 11.5. In speaking to Justin, he believes with some adjustments, you would still get at today's prices, you would still get change out 10 billion to build the executive course. The Par 3 course, however, is coming in at 6.4, and again that's 6.4 because you've still got the $2 million of the full bulk earthworks within that. So that's where that price sort of gets pushed up quite quickly. But the total cost there is 7.5 billion essentially, and so now we have a decision to make, and I think we've got probably 80 to 90 members here tonight. And of course, we need to disseminate this information across the entire membership. So we need to give everybody the opportunity, A, to ask questions, B, to see the numbers. And then I think we're most probably going to need another forum which actually talks a little bit more about the numbers, because the numbers are the first time you've seen them on Tuesday. So it's not something I can sort of divulge out to you and so forth. So we're going to need to sit down and have a look at these numbers and see which way we want to go, understanding what have we got in the bank. If we did want to borrow money, do we want to borrow it? Do we not? All of those questions have to be asked and answered, and then we can work out what is our way forward from there. But as Jeff mentioned, there is not a better time to actually get out and do this. Escalation costs at the moment are around about 7 to 8% a year. So if we waited another year to do anything, that's possibly about 7 to 8% more expensive. Both courses will be available to the membership to play within your current subscription fee. I think that's very important, because that was a question that was asked previously, and that's been confirmed that will be the case. Membership fees aren't going to increase to pay for this. The membership fees are in the Constitution that the members actually have to approve anything above 5%. So essentially the board has to keep it within 5% or under, otherwise the members have to approve it. So there's no concept of the membership fees being increased to pay for these additional courses. But also in doing, I've done some, I did my own forecasting in regards to these courses, both the executive course and the Par 3 course, and with a large amount of member play on both of them, operating them from 7:30 in the morning, so as you didn't have the ground staff trying to set up both courses at 5:30 in the morning, so they can set up the main course and then come across, so that you've got efficiencies there. And also to understand that, yes, they will be a little bit wetter. So when we get our wet periods, they're probably going to be closed for a little bit longer. So I did my numbers based on 10 months of the year operations. And we're looking at around about 770,000, I think it was, in green fees on the par 3 course, with an occupancy rate of about 30% of the tee times available. And we saw the occupancy rates there of our current course. It's always best to be conservative when you do numbers and you're reporting on those sorts of forecasting numbers, because it is just that, it's forecast, so you're best to be conservative. But the numbers stack up very nicely. What the numbers tell us, these self-fund them. These courses will self-fund themselves. They're self-funded. If we did decide to borrow money and we wanted to go down that path, it could fund that if we wanted to go down that path. And I understand that's a question on its own. But the process from here will be to disseminate this information. Jeff's report will be on the website tomorrow. So we'll put it in the same position and put a link to it there so you can have a good look through Jeff's report yourself. And we'll put together some additional information sessions and additional meetings, opportunities, questions and answers. And then at some stage, we're going to have to look at going to a vote on whether we do one course or the other. I don't think we'll be looking at doing 2 courses together, but I think we can, with feedback from the membership, we can work out which way we feel it's best to go. Couple of questions, yes?
Just a quick question. Understand the numbers that you put here. There is a particular pinch point, however, and that's the clubhouse. As a member, I feel that we're even now competing with visitors and social members for space in the clubhouse. There is no designated members only area in the clubhouse. Ordering meals can be a problem at times. And with the elevated number of guests that this will bring, surely we must think about enhancing the clubhouse and their members' facilities, which again should add to that number you put there. I see it more as an integral solution rather than piecemeal, because if we without doing anything with the
Clubhouse, and within that is to have a member only section and extend to allow the additional facilities to facilitate the additional guests that we would get. And that's really required before we build another course the second night. So it's a 3-stage project essentially, which would include a member only section, a golfing member only section, and then stage 3 to build the last course.
But my question really is, if that's the case, shouldn't the cost be included here? To say, okay, if we're thinking of borrowing money as a club, this is how much we will really have to.
I can tell you where we are at the moment with the actual architects, is we've had them put submissions to us, and the next step is that we've looked at 2 of the main sort of architects, builders architects, and in the next few months they'll be presenting to the board, and then once they present to the board, we can start to get some understanding about what those numbers are. We had to go through this process with Darius, with Justin, in regards to getting all the costings and so forth before we could actually come and put those numbers to you. So we need to go through that process before we can come back and say, once again, hand on heart, it's going to cost X to do the clubhouse. Yes.
Yeah, I've got a few questions. So firstly, were your calculations around the ROI based on these higher numbers? Also, was there any consideration given, you talk about supply and demand, and I think the feasibility study is very pragmatic, by the way, but you talked about supply and demand. I think we all know and see and feel the demand. But was there any consideration given, you said no new courses, but was there any consideration given for additional supply that other clubs may be considering? And I know that might be a tough one to answer, but anything planned? And then the last one, sorry. Yes, there's a great opportunity to attract more of the mini golf and practice customers, but at the same time that it might go the other way, we might cannibalize some of those by them coming into the par three. Was that something that was considered?
Yeah, look, I mean, cannibalisation is a hard one to which way you look at it. In theory, yes. In theory, no. In theory, one might grow the other. I get comforted by what's outside the gates already, and what the interest level in the club is. In terms of other clubs considering expansion, I keep my ear pretty close to the ground, and not many of them have the ability to do any further expansion. Does work with Headland. I know they're full. Landra, they're full. Saw Charlie earlier in the bar, and he said they're literally like a capacity now at Mount Coolum for the first time. The guys up at Nurse Springs busy, Twin Waters busy. No one's got any more further expansion to grow golf holes. So, but that said, there's still great demand growth into the market generally. So, the reality is probably enough new demand coming into the market that if everyone could grow, they probably should, and it was still everyone would all be okay. The question about ROI is interesting because particularly in golf clubs, when you're a members club, the funds can't be distributed back to you. There's no dividend at the end of the year for being an owner, shareholder. It can only be spent back on the asset. So, whilst I gave an ROI figure, I don't like to think of it like that because it's really the enhancement of the value and the satisfaction of the entire membership. And can you put a number on that? You can't use the capital that you're generating, or you can only use it really for asset improvement. So if it's a high or low ROI and it means member improvement, member engagement, member satisfaction, is a low ROI a bad thing? It's not like there's an alternate choice fund. It's not like you can say which one's going to give us more money. It's it can only be spent for your own benefit. Sorry, I asked late at the back. I saw your hand up earlier.
Chair, Government Report 470. My question is for Nigel. How much money do we have invested at the moment now, Nigel, which would go to this? How much do we have?
There's about 8 million at the moment. Yeah.
So taking 8 million off the 11, we'd only need to be borrowing 3 or 4 million. Is that correct?
Yeah, you certainly want to keep $1 million for cash reserves, operational. But and so yeah, that's probably one more for the treasurer from the high. I shouldn't say exactly, but from a business operation standpoint, that'd be what I would be promoting. But, so yes, there's a lot to talk about the financials. The financials were only provided to the board last night, so they're only just getting their head around them as well. So there's a lot to think about over the next few weeks before we come back to the members and put forward the options, I guess. Colin?
Yes, thanks, Nigel. The business case is absolutely critical to any consideration, and I acknowledge that. By the way, presentations are superb. Thank you both. I want to add another perspective, and that is that I'm rather proud of Maroochy River Golf Club in that the investment we're putting into golf and golf development for the region. And this kind of range of products, I think for the future as we build this vision, I think is a wonderful legacy for the club that I'm contributing towards. Come into the business game. We need to look at the hard numbers for the development of the club.
Yes, I know that Golf Australia is very excited about this project. They see us as the absolute peak. If we got this across the line, they would see us as the number one facility for golf in Australia. So we would be the pinnacle. And I've already been told that by Golf Australia. We already have a letter. So when we go to council and so forth, we've got a letter of support from them. But and on another point, the funding, another part of funding are government grants as well. But we can only chase those government grants once we've got a DA. So as soon as we get a DA, we'll go hard chasing government grants. So it's to try and assist us with, it might be $1 million, might be $500,000, but we'll certainly chase government grants for that.
Nigel, when do you plan?
I think there needs to be a fair bit more information to members. We were planning on November, so it might be sort of late November, early December to have that members meeting to be able to actually vote on. And then from there, the process, if there was an approval from the membership, we would then look to get the, Darius needs at least 2 months to get the fund. Final
Any clubhouse spend, right now, clubhouse property really last year was 3%. You would never build another clubhouse ever. But you know how integral the clubhouse is to the enjoyment, to the fee you're paying to the golf course. So to isolate return on investment for an asset in a golf club environment is really challenging.
No, for sure. I was just shocked. I thought it'd be a lot longer, to be honest. I thought, conservatively speaking, that 8 years seems to me quite quick. So I was impressed, if anything.
And that includes no clubhouse spend, right? So yeah, but the point made about the clubhouse is absolutely critical. That it was stage 2. I think it's more stage 1A because I think I think where it can be is it needs to come almost in parallel. Final.
Just want to ask a question. I don't know if you'll be able to answer this yet, but with the executive course, are you envisaging having an actual membership of that course? Opposed to a membership of the main course?
Certainly, yeah, certainly the model allows for, if I use the wait list market as a potential interested category, there's also the existing members who might want to, you know, I guess it might be the backside of their golfing life, right? And that might be all that's needed. So it would be a lovely way to, exit's the wrong word, but you know, to transition to make a few more birdies and a few more, maybe drive a few greens.
Still drive a few greens.
Yeah.
Yes, that could be very much similar to the extension of opening up that 5-day membership again and providing that opportunities first to our more senior members. Which is exactly what we did with the 5-day membership. So, but we did say we would keep it under. Jeff's still got to get down the road to Brisbane to his hotel tonight, so we can fly out to get to Melbourne and then straight off to Barwon Heads in the morning. So I'd like to thank Jeff London very much. Darius Oliver as well. Thank you very much. Well, I'd like to thank you all for coming out. It was a terrible storm, and you braved that, and you got out to the club, and it's great to have you all here, and I hope you're excited about it, or as excited about it as I am. Yeah. Thanks very much.
Ready to go? Very excited and
Yeah. Oh, that'd be pretty cool.